A belated Happy New Year to everyone watching this video. I hope you have all been able to safely celebrate the beginning of 2025 with your friends and family. For my first video of the new year, I thought it was finally time to talk about the latest and hottest Dragon Ball topic, Dragon Ball Daima. I have been wanting to cover Daima for a good while, but decided to postpone it until a couple of episodes had been released. I really wanted to get a bit of a better feel for the series before I started to, yap on about it. At the time of me recording this video, Dragon Ball Daima has 9 episodes which have aired, so I feel like we have gotten a solid little baseline for the way this anime looks and feels. So, let's get to yapping. But before we truly get to yapping, I feel that it is my God-given responsibility to put out a little spoiler warning here. If you have not seen all episodes of Daima yet or are planning to hold off on watching it until it is fully released in order to binge watch it, please do be aware that I will be talking about things that might spoil the show and fun for you. If you do not want to be spoiled, I understand completely. But with that being said, let's get to yapping. So, the title of this video will be something along the lines of Dragon Ball Daima is exactly what Dragon Ball needed. Now, why would I say something so brave and controversial? The reason is that Dragon Ball Daima feels like actual Dragon Ball again, whereas Dragon Ball Super was obviously much more like Dragon Ball Z was. Dragon Ball Super really focused more on the action aspect of Dragon Ball Z instead of the original aspect of adventure, which really represented the early days of Dragon Ball. But don't take that as me saying that Super was bad. Personal opinions aside, Super was a pretty damn fun watch, even if it did have some lackluster aspects to it in my opinion. But then again, so did Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT. Dragon Ball is by no means a perfect franchise. But Dragon Ball Daima returning more so to its roots as an adventure and fantasy anime is a really good thing in my opinion. It is a very good way to cater to both the old fans and the potential newer ones. The story elements of adventuring through a mystical land and making friends along the way to face adversity and injustice caters very well towards some of the older fans like me who grew up with the mystical adventure of the original Dragon Ball. And the modern animation we see in the fight between Goku and the Tamagami really caters well towards the Z-Bros who love watching the epic action scenes Dragon Ball Z and Super are known for. Dragon Ball Daima is an actually well executed, at least thus far, version of GT. And GT was already meant to be a bit of a hybrid between the action of Z and the adventure of Dragon Ball. But as we all know, GT definitely missed the mark on a lot of things. But Daima, following a similar plotline, has fixed a lot of these issues so far. Take for example the reason everyone turned into children. In GT, Pilaf made a wish on some fucked up Dragon Balls which made very little sense to me. That beginning is already pretty damn lackluster and was also a very bad start for GT. Daima actually digs into the lore of the Demon Realm and creates a much more realistic streak of events that causes such a wish to be made. King Goma being scared of the Z-Fighters after witnessing the defeat and death of both the previous Demon King Dabura and the fierce Majin Buu makes a lot of sense. His motive for heading to Earth and trying to sabotage the Z-Fighters to prevent them from possibly interfering in the succession of the Demon Realm makes a lot of sense to me. To him, guys like Dabura and Majin Buu were the pinnacle of power, and to see them both crushed would make anybody crap their pants. So the initial motive of why the gang turned to children is actually a good one in Daima. And the fact that we finally get to dive into the Demon Realm in canon material is incredibly exciting, at least to me. The Demon Realm has been a hot topic for discussions ever since Demon King Dabura was introduced to the franchise during the Majin Buu saga of Dragon Ball Z. Admittedly, Dragon Ball Heroes expanded quite a bit on the concept of the Demon Realm, but that was obviously a very free and artistic interpretation without any real backing. The world also felt very thin, I suppose, in the Heroes adaptation of the Demon Realm. Daima's version of the Demon Realm actually feels like a world that has substance to it. We get to see the 3 levels of the Demon Realm, or well, up until now we have only really seen the 3rd realm in the released episodes, but we are sure to see the rest eventually. The Demon Realm actually looks like a somewhat normal place instead of the hellish standard inferno we see in Dragon Ball Heroes. I really like that. Toriyama was never really the type of guy to think that a demon realm should look all demonic and evil. Even in Z, the Otherworld and Hell don't look very hellish at all. I've always kind of hated that about Heroes. But aside from the demon realm itself, even the characters that live in it seem to be very well executed. Because as we know, with a new Dragon Ball series, so come new interesting friends and characters that join Goku and his friends on the way. Pansy and Glorio are the first real looks we get of people who are native to the demon realm. And it is honestly very refreshing that both of them are quote-unquote normal people. Pansy is a bona fide princess who has a very feel-good dynamic with Goku. It really reminds me of the dynamic Goku had with Bulma during the early parts of Dragon Ball. She also fulfills the role of calling Goku out on his bullshit, which is something super severely lacked in my opinion. And you can't tell me that Glorio and Arinsu are not inspired by Toa and Mira. Specifically Glorio bears a very striking resemblance to the android Mira from the Xenoverse franchise. But speaking of Arinsu, she is part of my probably favorite part of Daima thus far, the Glint. The best part of Daima thus far to me has been the focus on the Glint people. For context, the Glint are a race native to the demon realm who we might know better as the Kais. We had gotten some obscure lore drops here and there in regards to the way Kais are born, but other than these lore drops that most fans never even knew, the Glint are a mostly unexplored species in the world of Dragon Ball. We have already gotten to learn so much cool stuff about the Glint in the few episodes we have already gotten. We've learned that they originate from the demon realm, we've learned that Shin's real name is Nahare, we've learned that when a Glint is born from a bad fruit, we get a Makaioshin instead of a Kaioshin, and we've even learned that Shin has two siblings in Degesu, the right hand of King Goma, and the scientist Arinsu. The Makaioshin have always been hinted at, but have never actually been shown in any type of Dragon Ball media. But I will say that even though Arinsu and Degesu fit the profile of a Makaioshin, we have not gotten actual confirmation that they can in fact be called a Makaioshin. But I'm taking the leap of faith here that they are going to turn out to be Makaioshin. But I have always found it very weird that we never went deeper into the Kai lore, since the Kais are in fact very important in the world building and lore of Dragon Ball. The Supreme Kai himself never really playing a main role even during the Buu saga in which he was introduced also struck me as pretty weird at the time. But Daima made such an incredibly good decision to have Shin take a main character-esque role whilst traveling with Goku. People are quick to forget, but the Supreme Kai is actually a very smart individual and by no means a bad fighter. His dynamic with Glorio and his knowledge of the demon realm provide very interesting little insights into just the general world of the demon realm itself. But the demon realm did not just expand on the lore of the Glint. We got a massive lore bomb that nearly every race we see in Dragon Ball with pointed ears was originally from the demon realm. The Namekians, the Cybermen, Garlic Jr.'s race, the Doria's race, Pilaf's race, Roy, etc. All of these races have a very high chance to have originated in the demon realm, and some like the Namekians and the Cybermen have already been confirmed to have originated from the demon realm itself. There have even been some retcons that Daima has already provided to the main Dragon Ball story. The two retcons we have gotten so far is that Bibidi was pretty much a little bitch fraud who just had Marba make Majin Buu for him, and Piccolo during the Buu saga being high on Xanax the entire time or some shit because he completely failed to see, hear or sense Arinsu scraping a piece of Majin Buu from the floor behind him. But honestly, these types of retcons are the type that I have no real problems with. They don't harm the original story in any way, so adding on to the canon in this fashion is actually a very smart way to go about it. And the fact that the retcon of Arinsu collecting a part of Majin Buu is used very early on in the story to build the story itself also means that we won't have to wait ages for it to make sense. Arinsu needed the essence of the strongest Majin to make a weapon of her own. She actually made the ultimate Cyberman. And no, I am dead serious when I say that, we better call Yamcha. She made Marba create a Majin with the power of Majin Buu and the loyalty and controllability of a Cyberman. This created the unholy abomination that is Majin Ku. Now, the exact reason why Arinsu wants this Majin of her own is currently still unknown, but I'm very excited to find out where all of this is going to go. And this is pretty much where the story is at during the time of me recording this video. So, to summarize why I think Daima is incredibly good and healthy for Dragon Ball in general. The main thing is that Daima has slowed itself down a bit. We had gotten rapid fire fight after fight in Super with no real room to breathe. Taking a step back and lowering the pace of the story to focus more so on the adventure roots of the franchise is such a breath of fresh air to me. Having the story focus more on exploring the new demon realm and getting to know all about it is something I never knew I needed so much. Even with only 9 episodes having been released so far, I can confidently say that I have had more fun watching these first few episodes than watching most of Super. Now of course keep in mind that I am the type of guy who likes original Dragon Ball more than Super in a lot of aspects. So Daima is already like a fanfiction that combines the best of two worlds in my case. If you really only watch Dragon Ball for the action scenes, then Daima is probably less interesting to you than say Super was. But even then, I do advise you to give Daima a chance, because I have a sneaking suspicion the action will reveal itself sooner rather than later. And with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching today's video. As per usual, I truly do appreciate every single viewer that takes the time out of their busy day to watch my content. It makes me very happy to know that even a handful of people enjoy the content I produce. If you would like to see more of my content in the future, please consider clicking the subscribe button and turning on all notifications for my channel. I would also really appreciate it if you would consider checking out some of my other videos on my channel. So work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty, and I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.